Hello legends and super legends. Welcome to Veloharmony. About ready to head out. We're wearing our throwback kit this week. Paul's supposed to join me in a little bit. I'm going to take the Colnago. I took that outside. But I want you guys, we've got really fair weather here today. It's supposed to be around 27, 28 C for a high. Probably it won't occur while we're out there. But right now it's about 18 Celsius as we head out. So very mild temperatures. We're ready to roll. I'm going to wear these gloves. I'll go ahead and put them on as we speak. And because of the setup of my saddle bag, I'm not going to be carrying much in my pocket other than I'm going to put my phone in here, in this pouch. But I'm also taking my wet wipes. Just in case we have to stop at any store, I'm taking my antibacterial wet wipes in here. I put a couple extra in there, one for Paul. We may not have to, but that way we'll definitely make sure we disinfect before we touch our bikes if we have to go into any store to purchase anything. But I hope you all get a chance to get some K's in either on the trainer or on the road to keep yourself physically, mentally fit.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton. We went directly through the woodlands all the way to Sterling Ridge, got on Research Forest. We started filming on Research Forest. We got to Fish Creek, went down into Hornier, and we went through Mill Route, through Montgomery, and came back to the Tri-Lakes area to 1486 and Jackson Road, back on 149 to Gary to Karen, and we stopped filming around there and came back on 1488. Overall, it was about 5.5 hours thereabout. It was very windy on the way back. We got some good clips going and coming that I think you all will enjoy.
My brother's here. We're rolling.
Let's do it.
We're rolling. Okay, my brother, let's roll. Yeah, it's sunny. Let's leave it off. We can put it on later if we need to.
Yeah, we're talking about leaving the lights
Put my
off.
old light on the bike. I'm going to show you how I do this follow mode.
Since it's such a bright day, we're not going to turn on the lights right now. So I started to show Paul what I've been doing since he's been off the bike.
Well, legends, I hope you all got a chance to get out. If you didn't, get on the trainer. Ride with us. See, this is in pan mode like we normally do. You push this one time, and the last button here, that's the mode. It goes to follow. Now when you do this, look, it goes down. I like that because remember how we used to have it cockeyed? Now you don't have to worry about it. The only thing is you can't hold it horizontally because then it films the ground.
Yeah, I think we tried that before.
Yeah, but that's what I've been using because look, I can do this, can rotate it, I get to shoot. That's what I've been doing to get all those views. So for example, if I'm filming you and you come in front, I can film you for a bit, then I can go pick up the house, pick myself up. So you can do this, see, it goes up. So you can exactly, it's panning in different direction. I like it better because then we don't have to worry about it. Oh, is it straight or not? So when I'm riding, this is how I hold it. So when I want to film behind, I flip it around like this, and then I do this. Turn left here.
So I'm bringing him up to speed.
As you turn, look.
Paul's a quick study, so he picked it up real quickly.
So you can adjust it infinitely. You don't have to worry about what it's doing.
Yeah. I
A
see
minute to
what
go
you-
up, you just tilt your hand.
And he's trying it now.
Yeah. Tilt your hand and see how it moves so you can know.
Yeah,
The only thing you gotta hold it vertically, that's all. Look at that. Yeah, look at how you spin it.
yeah,
So instead of it being focused on me, you pick up the house.
yeah.
Whatever
I see.
interests me while I'm riding,
Uh-huh.
because that's where your eyes go.
Right. Putting,
Anything my eyes goes, I get the camera.
I'm explaining the flexibility of the way I've been doing it versus how we had done it in the past. And he picked it up quickly.
Hold it on the outside of your hood. It's on my well.
yeah.
I can hold it there like that. Outside, what I do when I want to spin, I just move my hand away from the hood.
Yeah.
So I mean, rolling.
Yeah.
I just keep it, but you see, to avoid it falling, it's always cradled here. Let's say you're in the pack.
Yeah.
Hold it next to the thing. If we're not hammering,
Yeah.
you can flip
feel
it around and tilt it.
So he's using the camera, the
You
gimbal
instead of
now,
cutting off just your chest.
and getting a little more comfortable with what I've been doing.
Turn it backwards. Turn it backwards.
this way.
Yep. Now hold it on the hood. Yeah, hold on the hood. And tilt it that way towards the ground.
Like,
Yeah, you see it coming up? Not too much. Because you were doing the
oh,
sky.
I see.
So it can get you. You're not
I
gonna
see.
get cut off.
Okay.
So,
I see.
So yeah, hold it against the right hood.
Yeah, hold it from here,
There you go.
and then it will film you.
And then if you want to film like you know how I was filming my feet,
Yeah.
bring it this way.
Like this way.
No, no, no.
Oh.
Keep it in the same position.
And just bring
Yeah,
it this
just
way.
rotate it
I see.
forward and back. Now, what
Yeah.
I do, I'm sure to you, give it to me here. So what I do is, it took a few rides. Look, for example, if I start to film the back behind me,
Now with your hand touching the motor.
it's not bothering it in follow mode. It's
Yeah, he
paying
picked it up a lot quicker than I
See?
did when I
So
was
in
learning
follow
it.
mode, my hand is right underneath
It took
the
me a
motor.
few
See how
rides.
My finger right there doesn't do anything because follow mode wants to be moved. So when I'm filming like this, when I do this is what you see on the solo rides. You can get your face. If I tilted, if I did it like this, it would be like Ken Mahal used to cut us off. You remember? So I go like this, it comes up. Look at it. Then it picks me up. And it can still pick up behind. So you can film behind longer. And it seems to work best from the right, even though a lot of times you can also do this. You put it right here. Look. Then what I do, sometimes I'll put it here and do this. And then I will do this. Now, of course, I'm not going very hard.
A lot of people have asked how we film. I will make a video about it, but it will probably be in the behind the scenes video for the members, the channel members.
To get that little angle from, you don't want it horizontal, you want it 45 degree like this. That's what films you. And the cool thing is, I like that you can change the view. So let's say you film like this for a while, you can do this. You can do this. And you saw me, I'll be riding and I will do this. I will film something and I will pass it in this hand. And you see, as the car would pass me, I would pick up a car like this, going by. Then as the car would pass me, I would bring it in this hand, pick up the back, put it here, tilt it a little bit. But you don't want to go too crazy because like this, you're cut off. Like this, you're in the shot. You don't need to go more than that. And you see it's on the hoods.
Right.
And I'm just holding it like that. Then sometimes I would come to this hand and do the same thing. Then I would do this, rotate. Look, this is what I've been doing. So I would just put it right here and just do like, I would be riding like this, my brother, on the hoods. Look,
Just rotate.
that's it. And my eye goes over here, I roll it there gradually. I do 3 seconds in each shot, then I go. Because you don't want to just keep rolling it. When you get where you want to be, 3 seconds, 3 to 4 seconds, then you move so people can see. So my eye go to that guy on the golf course, I go to him, count 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 4, then I come to this car. And that's what you see when you're riding. As the car goes by, look at my hand. They can see everything when you feel. You see that?
There's so much more flexibility in the way we're doing it now. I just love it.
You go with him sideways, you go behind
And it's
you.
just attached to the hoods It's comfortable, you're still safe, you can still access
And
your
the key is
shifting
that, look, my
and your
hands on the
brakes.
hood the whole time, and I'm just rolling it. This way it doesn't fall and hit a bump, because the motor's resting on my hand. I'm just rolling the stick. That's it.
So after that short little exercise, Paul
You're on camera.
pretty much picked it up. We're on Research Forest Drive in the Woodlands, headed west towards Egypt
Got it in
Lane.
follow mode.
And I turned the camera on. We decide to we're talking about going through Ridge Lake Shores. We ended up changing our mind. But, you know, when we ride, we don't firm up the routes. We keep it flexible and open. So Paul's leading here. I go ahead and slip in. The wind's coming from the left for the most part, but it's not very heavy. Those trees are blocking it. This was a day where we had a strong south wind, strictly from the south. We just left. We're headed west here.
We'll take Fish Creek. We'll turn right here at Egypt, get to Fish Creek. Ridge Lake Shores, and then do Mill Route. Yeah.
So we're just discussing the possibilities of what our route.
Main reason is that if we go way out and something happens, it's harder to come across somebody. So what we do is we're still gonna do our 4 hours, but what I was thinking is we'll go, you see how I'm doing this?
We ended up doing closer to 6 hours.
Another feeling, you just do that. So, yeah, it's just easy. It's just, you basically just using your thumb and your index finger, and then it rests on your palm, so it makes it easy. But what I was thinking is we do a loop of Ridge Lake Shores, go over the bridge, Mill Route, and once we get out there, we can decide, I guess. You know what I mean? I don't want to set anything in stone. I don't want to ruin our ride because we forgot that stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, it's not what you have in mind right now.
Yeah, well, try this, see what you think.
So after that little practice Paul had when we were rolling out in the neighborhood, I handed him a camera so he could kind of perfect it, and it was no big deal. We had tried this before in the past, but we tried to use it in the same position as the pan mode, which is horizontally applied on the hoods. And so we didn't really go with it, but after the last few weeks of using it, I found that it was more flexible. So we both really like it better. We're able to get more rear shots, side shots, you know. Came across a bunch of riders today, just in different directions. We saw some of the Team RR guys heading, because the governor has lifted some restrictions for certain businesses and gatherings. I mean, you still have to keep your numbers down, but so more people are out today. The light's kind of long here, so I sped it up a bit.
Yeah, there we go.
I'm in the middle of the cluster and on a small chain ring. Keep your gears light at intersections so you can take off quicker and you can shift up. Whenever I pass pedestrians like back there on the bike, I give them plenty of room. It's a courtesy. You don't need to be passing anybody very close. I don't like to make people walk off the pavement if you don't have to. Nothing's coming, give them room. Everybody's out enjoying. This guy's backing off his driveway, so I let Paul know to keep an eye on him. That's why you see me wave like that. So always keep your eye on the road when you're riding. Look forward. There's a cyclist behind us down there in the distance. Keep your eye forward. Look around, look for what's coming long before they interfere with you. That's what it's about. It just becomes second nature. You don't need to go out of the way to do anything. But that should be your focus as you ride. Just scan. Just like when you drive. Your eyes should always be roaming to take in what's happening, as well as the sights and sounds. I'm wearing a new helmet on this ride. I did an unboxing, and I'm gonna finish it up with a review later this week.
Yeah, it's good.
It's made by Parker, and it's called the Ventral Air Spin. It was sent in for me to review, sent to the channel. I wasn't required to review it; I just sent it in. The channel's growing to the point where we get products, and as I said earlier, I only introduce products to the channel that I think make the cut.
Yeah.
And this helmet makes the cut. I took it out on this ride. From the looks to the performance, everything was really, really a nice surprise. I'm glad he sent it in white, because with our summers here, it's going to be perfect with very hot days. So I'm sure he'll be happy to see the review later this week. I'm trying to get one out on Wednesday, midweek sometime. That's when I try to do reviews on the channel. I don't like to commit to these vendors that I'm going to do a review. If they want to send the product, they send it at their own risk. And I think he had enough confidence in this product that he didn't care. He kind of suspected I would do a review. But it's a product that definitely fits the mode of this channel. It's a quality product, and I think that it will work for everybody on this channel that's looking for a new lid. So we get to this intersection of 2978, and you're going to see we stop because it's very busy, and there is a cyclist coming up right there. He's going to wave at us, and we wave. And the reason, so the lane clears, the whole lane is clear. I get going. The reason I mention it is that we just started to ride our pace, and we end up catching up to him in probably 6 kilometers or so, or maybe 10 kilometers. We catch up to him. We're not chasing him or anything on Fish Creek. And until we passed him, I didn't notice his rig or anything. He's on a nice time trial bike. And the reason I mentioned we're not chasing him is because when you're out there, unless you're just trying to use somebody as a rabbit, there's no point in chasing somebody and then slowing down right after you catch them, unless you're chasing them to ride with them or something. We only pass people that are going slower than our pace because we maintain our pace. So Paul comes through, I pick up the camera here, slip behind him. The shoulder's clean, so we're using it, but I'm a little to his left. He's staying close to the white line to give me a little bit of room. There's always a bit of wind when you're moving, you all know that, but we don't have a lot of wind right now. We're not going into the wind. At this point, we didn't realize how windy it was going to be. On the return was when it really hit us. So right now it's kind of swirling around. And based on our position, Paul's inside the white line or to the left of the white line, I'm a little more over. So it makes the drivers move over that white line, like this guy in the pickup truck, if they want to stay in this lane. When I'm driving my car, I just use the next lane. There's no point to it. I give, if there are 2 lanes in this situation, I give the right lane to the cyclist. There's no reason for me to pass somebody in their lane. If I must pass them in their lane, I slow down. But I give them plenty of room just to be safe. So Paul's using the shoulder. I'm a little to the left of him. And then I notice this guy, there's another guy going the opposite direction. So it's good to see a lot of people out here. We saw a group of about probably 8 to 10 riders. Most group was out here. We saw them while they were coming back. We were heading out. I put the arrow on that guy up there because right here we start getting closer to him and we're not really working that hard. We're just holding our pace. And at this point, I started giving this some thought. I'm like, we're going to catch up to this guy pretty easily. And I was thinking, okay, hopefully I was thinking maybe he'll ride with us, but I really didn't want the group to change because we weren't sure what we're doing with our route anyway. I wanted to just be Paul and I. So, you know, we early in our ride, you can see we're catching up. We're discussing the gimbal. And that's why I don't pay a lot of mind to average speed because it means very little, as I've discussed on this channel. Early in the ride, we're cruising, we're warming up, we're chatting. Yeah, it's going to affect your average speed. It's not a time trial to where you're worried about your average speed for an event. That's different. It's a ride. It's kind of like if you're going to the group ride. What I do is I warm up to the groups, and then I use my lap function on my head unit if I want to track the average speed of the group. That's another way to do it. So it will keep it like a segment or a route. And that way you don't have to be concerned about it when you're visiting with your mates. For those of you who are trying to track an event that you rode to or whatever, use your lap function. So right here, we're settling in our pace that we're going to use. They're doing construction on the left there. I put that arrow there just to show. You can see my heart rate now just starts coming down because we're just descending. I'm not even pedaling. That's a good thing about a descent. You get to recover a bit. The guy's right there, and we're not really pedaling. So I know we're going to pass him based on his pace. So I come to the front and give Paul the camera. And at this point, I decide we'll just hold our pace. And the goal is to hold it up to around Ridge Lake Shores, from here to Ridge Lake Shores. I like to work in this section. It is a nice, fast road. It's got a lot of mountains. If you look at the distance, you can see the road going up to the tree line. The road's in between there. This entire stretch is going up. That's why we like to come north more often than other directions. I'll go to Tomball every now and then when I just want flat roads to spin, let's say on a recovery ride or just for variety. We do mix it up. I'm using the shoulder because this is one lane, now it becomes 2 lanes. So I look back, traffic's clear, I tell Paul it's good to that shoulder in. You want to do that kind of stuff early. Don't wait till you run out of road. And right here, we're using the lane. We're already in the intersection. It goes to yellow. We continue. And he may seem further than he actually is right there. We're actually coming up on him at this point. And I'm just at probably the middle of zone 2. So this is endurance. For all the work I've been doing, I spend the most time at this effort when I ride solo. It is the most gain for your time when you're actually building your base. Because you develop a lot of strength and you build a lot of capillaries. The road is going up here, and I just keep the effort the same. So you'll see my heart rate rise because of the terrain, because I don't want to slow down. go by. There's no me saying anything because we had already greeted each other down the road earlier. We're just giving plenty of room as we go by. I think Paul turned the camera around hoping that this guy would probably slip in or something, but he didn't. I wasn't thinking about him at that point. I was just thinking about making sure I kept my cadence up because after we passed him, the road continued to go up and down. And in this area, it doesn't go down much. It goes up more than down. So it's flat to maybe 2 to 3% in this direction. In the other direction, there's some 4 to 6%ers coming back. So this is a very good road for getting a good speed workout, as well as building some time trial strength, time trial endurance, high speed endurance. It may look flat, it's not. It might be 0.8 to maybe 1.5. We're working here. You can see my heart rate stayed right at 160. I'm just getting out of zone 3 to the bottom of zone 4. It's a moderate pace. I'm at the bottom of where I do a lot of interval work, so I'm just entering into sweet spot area. There was one of our legends on the channel made a comment. I have not responded to it yet, but I will today when I get some time. I wanted to just say here that when you train, you should be able to rest while you're on the bike. You shouldn't have to take a day off to rest. Your training program should incorporate what we call active rest. If you don't have active rest in your training program, then you're really not maximizing your recovery. So here I decide I don't want to slow down. We enter the intersection, it goes to red, but we're already in the intersection. Usually you get an extra 4 to 6 seconds when the light changes like that, because we're already in the intersection. Got a nice tempo here. I want to keep it going. So I'm right around what I call sweet spot. You can get the good maximum training value here without hammering yourself. And since Paul had not been riding that much, I didn't want to go much harder than this. I stood up back there just to kind of change the rhythm a bit. The road is going up. It might register. If you look at the grade above the cyclist, yeah, there, now it goes to 1, it goes back to 0, but we're climbing. You can just look at the picture. At some point in here, I downshifted 1 cog. This is the first day in about 8 weeks that I've used the big chainring, but the ratio's close to what I've been riding. I've been riding like the 39-14, 39-15, so I'm probably in a 53-19, thereabouts. And once it levels off here, my cadence goes back up. I take a drink. So if you're riding like this, like we're riding, it shouldn't matter who you pass because this is a pace I can maintain. So I'm not concerned about the guy back there. I thought he had joined us because I asked Paul later what he did when we stopped. I turned. Once the pace backed up a bit, I turned around and asked him. And he said, no, the guy never did. And that's fine. He was doing his own thing. Just like we're doing our own thing. So resist the urge to be chasing people out there unless you're using them as a gauge to say, okay, I'm just going to go hard for this section here. Because I don't like passing people, then they come back and pass you and all that kind of stuff. That's just, especially people I don't know. I only pass people if I'm doing my intervals and they're just there and happen to be on the road at the same time. And I know I'm going to hold it or I'm doing my workout. And I don't sit in the draft of people unless I ask or introduce myself, you know, chat and say, hey, where you headed? Can I join you or slip in? That's just common courtesy, because that's their personal space. Don't go out there just get on somebody's wheel you don't know. That's rude. Don't do that. Introduce yourself, even if it's a group. And a lot of groups, they may invite you. And once everything settles down around the world, you guys, you know, groups come by. A lot of people, hey, come on, join. You know, the more the merrier. But you need to introduce yourself instead of just latching on to people. So strangers, let's put it that way. The effort is the same. My heart rate's fluctuating based on the terrain. Right here, we're going up again. I think this is approaching Ridge Lake Shores. They're right at the top of a hill. Yeah. So we usually go hard up over that overpass. We keep it going. You can see some cyclists standing on the right there at the entrance. A lot more people are out this weekend. We saw little groups of threes right there, I told you, because that's where we backed off. Now it's going to flatten here.
Yeah, it was something in my head.
I had the channel tempo in my head when I was riding that whole stretch. That's what I'm telling Paul. That's the song that was in my head when I was riding. So even though we slowed down and I told him about what I was thinking about, right here, we don't stop. The effort may have dropped maybe a little bit, maybe 5 or 10 beats or whatever, but we're still riding. And this is where you kind of teach your body to work and rest at an okay pace. You shouldn't always have to take a day off to rest. You should have a ride that is scheduled in your plan that is actively helping you rest and recover. That's how you teach yourself to rest during a ride. Every time you see me get back into the lane from the shoulder, I'm looking. See, I looked again. Those are a bunch of vultures on the right. We couldn't figure out what they were there. There are 3 cyclists up there, and so you hear me mention a Paul, probably not very clearly. They're going up a 4 to 6.5% grade. I point to them and I let him know that's the spot that robs your speed from the opposite direction. That's what I'm telling him.
Yeah.
And he's gonna laugh after I say it hits you like a wall. When you're going south on Fish Creek.
Yeah.
It comes up there. If you're in the wrong gear, that bites. And it's not one of those climbs that looks menacing. You just feel it. And we came across quite a few of those today. Especially the Tri-Lakes area. We didn't film in the Tri-Lakes area. We just took a shortcut through there to get to 1486, which took us to Jackson Road. We filmed that. And look at the pavement here. It's a beautiful one. Smooth. Your chances of having a flat is like very, very low on a road like this. It's clean and it's smooth. Also on my left, because we got a bit of wind from the right. That's the exit here from Ridge Lake Shores that we just passed. And because we come through here in as the Italians and the French say, in anger, most of the time when we ride with a group, we'll come across a house that we never noticed before. You know, in a few kilometers, I pointed out to Paul, I said, I've never noticed that house over there. Because whenever we come through here, we're working. So sometimes you gotta slow it down and take in the sights on your routes, because you miss out on some stuff. Look how the socks match our kit. We got those socks from Rafa, and they match the orange on the sleeve and the orange on the pants really well.
Yep.
We're talking about the construction. They're building a second bridge. This is the house that I've never noticed as much as I've been coming down here. There's a private home down there. That's a rough spot for it to be in, because with this overpass, it never used to be this busy on this road. This overpass was not here, say 5 years ago. And now they're doubling it, so there's going to be a higher volume of traffic. At least this house is set far back from the road. Because there's a lot of debris, I'm using the lane here, and those construction barrels are there, so I'm staying to the left of them. As we go up, because the bridge is narrow, once it gets a little cleaner, you'll see me get on the white line. I stay on the line because the line's clean, and then a little to the right, so Paul can have a little more room, and also the drivers can have more room as they go by. That's what I'm doing. In order to keep the bike tracking like that,
Yep.
I showed Paul that they're building the bridge, that he filmed it. So it's going to be 4 lanes. Hopefully we'll have nice wide shoulders. The problem is on these bridges, look how dirty the shoulder is. Until the sweepers come out here, all the debris from the passing cars crowd the shoulder. So what I was saying is, to keep your bike tracking straight, use your eyes. Look where you want the bike to track. So when I was on that white line, I was looking at the line. That's how you keep the bike on a spot. So I looked back, nothing was coming to avoid that thing that I saw coming. So I'm always looking ahead to see what's coming. So by moving over on this wide shoulder, Paul rides up so we can ride side by side for a bit. That's the fun thing. So right here, that's what I'm talking about. Who cares about average speed? We've done some work. Now we chat a little bit, and we'll go and do some more work. So quit worrying about what your average speed is. If you're concerned about average speed, track your effort by using the lap function on your head unit, so that when you're doing the intervals or the loop that counts, turn on the lap, do the loop, and then the rest of the ride, sightsee. So you're not always on the rivet. So you see how quickly Paul has picked up the new way I've been using the gimbal, and I think this is the way to go, because we don't have to be concerned about a shot. He's laughing because I said, if you can't stand and sit like I just did, you need to check your fit. When the bike fits you, you can ride longer. Because it's hard to put out a hard effort for, like, say 4 or 5 minutes like we did back there, and you're uncomfortable because your foot will get numb and so forth.
Right.
So we're going to be turning on Capitol Road, which is coming up. I checked for traffic.
Clear.
Yeah, Paul tells me it's clear. I move over. There's nothing behind us at this moment, but things change. You still have to keep your eye out there. As we're about to turn, we see cars coming. They're a little ways back.
Yeah.
So I move over in the turn lane. We're watching that car, the corner, we couldn't see his signal. I suspect that he might have been turning the other way. We made sense. Because if he had been turning to go south, he would have made that turn. So we kept our eye on him the entire time. So as soon as you turn on Capitol Road, it goes up a bit. I'm standing because the road's a little less than perfect there. It minimizes your chances of having issues with your tires, flats, and so forth. It gets bumpy. I lighten the load. And we're really just in like an endurance zone here, just riding along. The reason why I keep mentioning these zones is you don't only get fast in the top zones. That's working on high-end speed, high-end effort, and so forth. As you ride more, your speeds in zone 2 will increase. Your power and strength will increase. So it counts. You have to know how to mix the right zones, get enough rest for you to improve. That's the secret. It's not just going out and riding. You gotta have a plan. So we're on the descent on Capitol Hill, going the opposite way. That's why it's called Capitol Hill. It's a nice long climb. I don't know if we filmed it going that way before. We may have, but I'm going to talk Paul into us doing this. I think we have, but we've done Ribbon Chapel South. And whenever we do, we come up this way. But we'll do another one where we're climbing this thing in the opposite direction. Gives you a different appreciation. So I just get into a safe tuck. I don't do those things where you sit on the top tube and all of that. You don't gain that much. And I'm not in a competitive environment where I need every extra second. Even when I used to compete, I didn't do too many crazy things. It's not fun falling off the bike, especially at speed. I'm not sure why I did this here, but I ended up standing from here until the intersection with Ribbon Chapel, probably about a kilometer or so up the road. And you expend more energy when you're out of the saddle. It felt good. I stay in the same gear. I don't shift. But my cadence will change. Like right here, the grade is a little more intense. It doesn't register, but it's there. You can see Ribbon Chapel in the distance. Those cars are passing. Once the grade lessens, my cadence will go up in the same gear. That's good work because it brought me right on the sweet spot. I've been doing that a lot when I'm training solo. Breaks up the monotony of a ride. So we turn on the Ribbon Chapel. I told Paul it was clear.
Woo! That's what I'm talking about. You gotta get the work in. Hello, legends and super legends. We're on 1486, heading south into the teeth of the wind.
This is 3 hours into the ride.
Nice lake
About, you hear that wind?
We'll put out follow mode. Yeah. That's how you confirm it. Yeah,
I turned the camera on and Paul asked, is it in follow mode? Yeah, so I think he likes follow mode also. It's more flexible. I wish we had been using it earlier because we don't have to be worrying about the cameras misbehaving in cold weather and so forth. Look at that pasture over there. Pretty. So I told you guys, Paul's a quick study. He's got the thing down. And that's what follow mode allows us to do, in that we can take in the sights and sounds as we ride and share them with you all, instead of just having it in one position. That's another reason we never use the mounts. We have a bunch of mounts. I have stuff for the rear, the saddle, bars. When I use the mounts, not only is the vision fixed or the view is fixed, it bounces around. There's a lot of shimmy and so forth. It just doesn't work very well. And I think it just ruins the atmosphere we want to share with you. Look at those vultures over there. We saw quite a bit of these guys out this weekend. And that's why I made a joke here. I told Paul, that's why people wear black. Look at that. They're all black. They're eating some dead animal. I told Paul, I said, that's probably where people got the idea of wearing black to go to funerals, from those vultures. This is 1486, FM 1486, headed south. It's kind of southeasterly at this point, but it's up and down. It's closer to 2% than it is 1, but the grade on the overlay there only shows integers. It's up and down. We're climbing the entire time. I dropped my gearing, of course, because I know we're going to be spending the next 2 hours heading into the wind. And just from the laws of physics, if you overburden your legs, they just tire out quickly. You don't really get more speed. So you need to have the right gearing in this terrain, this kind of terrain. Because if you overgear, what will happen is when the road goes up, you end up laboring. So to maintain your snap, you always got to be on top of the gear you're in. Work, don't labor. On this stretch here, you'll see me later on suggest to Paul probably an hour from here not to pull too much into the wind, because I didn't want him doing a lot of heavy load work. He did a lot of pulling, which we didn't have on camera because he was doing most of the filming when we were filming. But I wanted to make sure he didn't work too hard. I made a joke and I said that's why we saw one of our riders that we had ridden in the past. His name is Rudy. He was heading into the wind when we were going north, and he was down and working hard and going up a climb. I said that's why Rudy was so low on the bike, because the wind is just blowing. What I was saying is I didn't want Paul to do too much heavy load work on this ride, because he had hurt his back and he was now back riding, and we didn't want him to aggravate anything. But what he said, that the riding actually was good for his back. I think he had pulled a muscle, because usually if it's just a sprain or strain, you can kind of get on the bike and that the activity circulates blood in that area. It's actually good for your back. So he said this ride was actually very therapeutic for his back. His back felt good on the bike. So he must have had an injury. He said he was in an awkward position and he picked up something, and then a little while later, like days later, he was doing something else. That's when he had the issue. So he had hurt his back previously, picking something up in a wrong position, and then, although he was fine, days later, while trying to do something very simple, his back was like, okay, enough. so he's got that sorted. He's got a stretching routine that he uses now. He said it's working really well. So it was good to have him back. Since this is a fairly busy road, I mean busy in terms of the cars are moving at higher speeds, but you can see we don't have heavy volume. We use the shoulder here. If they've added along this road, these were not here as prevalent as we found on Saturday. They put these little white bumps. If you look at them in that strip, they've got little mounds in there. You can go over them easily, but you don't want to ride on them. They're not as pronounced as some we've seen, but still, they're not very comfortable. But they've put them out here more and more, and I guess it's because this place is so quiet. They want to make sure people that are drifting at least get an alert if they're drifting while they're driving. I stand up and I check for traffic. Nothing's coming, and I get over that quickly. You don't want to ride those things. I try to sneak between them as much as possible. Right here, this thing is like 4-point-something%. You see the overlay? It's like you're riding in mud, and I tell Paul that, he laughs.
Yep. Turning over there feels like
Turning over there feels like you're riding in mud. As you turn, the grade spikes to 4.4, 4.5. And that whole stretch you just saw us ride was between 2 to 4%. And then with the wind, you're really working. So I tried to spend more time in the front on the way back, because Paul had pulled us quite a bit after we got off camera. I didn't want him working too hard here. You can see he's got this follow mode thing down. So I really like that feature. We had tried it briefly in the past, but we tried to use it in the wrong position, so it was filming the road. We followed our hand to the ground. So we gave up on it. But with my solo riding while Paul was hurt, I wanted to do something a little more spontaneous. also cut out boredom of just looking at one shot. I rediscovered it, and I really like it. We control the framing of the scene now with follow mode. This is Jackson Road. At this point, I think it's headed southeasterly, and then in a few kilometers, it will go directly south, and the wind will be bearing down on us. The wind's still there, but with the trees that you see, it lessens it a bit. On a road like this, you use the road. That's not a shoulder. That white stripe just marks the end of the lane. It's not enough pavement. Don't ride to the right of that line on a road that's marked like this, because your risk of falling increases tremendously. It's too small a piece of pavement. Use the road like you see me doing. So when I come here solo, that's where I ride. If you want them to pass, you are going over the yellow line. So I'm staying a little to the right there so Paul can be on my left. So we're using about half the lane here. We're staying anywhere from the middle where you see the dirt line, I call it. That's where the oil drips from cars and stuff. Every road has that. We're using this piece of the lane. Check before I move over just in case somebody was passing, even though I'm staying in our lane. So Paul's keeping his gears very moderate. Until he's 100%, it's not the time to push monster gears. Those guys are trying to jump that truck over there. They had cables connected. Just run by. We don't have that issue with our bikes. We don't need to jump it. Our engines get fueled from SIS nutrition and the meals that we eat. And our automobile, our vehicle, let's put it that way, our vehicle keeps us healthy. Unlike automobiles where you just sit and get unhealthy if you use them too much. So you ride a bike, you get fit. You drive a car, you don't. That's okay, they're necessary. Our vehicle has its place, and it has its limitations. We have a very vulnerable vehicle, but it's so much fun to use. 28 Celsius. That's probably about 88, 89 Fahrenheit. On my head unit, it said 92 Fahrenheit at this point in the ride. Didn't feel oppressively hot, but it was a little uncomfortable. But with the wind actually felt cool because the temperatures were mild in the morning, but we have low humidity because we've had a lot of fronts from the north. So even though it was 28 Celsius, it didn't feel like a 28 C during the summer. And for those of you who are not familiar with Celsius, what I do for my conversion is really very simple. Every 3 degrees Celsius is about 5 Fahrenheit. So for example, 21 Celsius is about 70 Fahrenheit. So if you go from 70 Fahrenheit to 75, that's 5 degrees, right? So that means it's 21 to 24. So 24 C is 75. That's what I do. So every 5 Fahrenheit is 3. I just come up with something that's close. I mean, you'd have to use a calculator to be in the decimal. You don't need to be exact. You just need to be close. So from 21 to 24, going up 3 Celsius, you know you've gone up 5 Fahrenheit. So that's how I transfer back and forth. So I run everything in the metric system on my head unit, because I can transfer it, whether it's miles per hour or whatever, whether it's meters to feet, easily. Once you got the conversion factor, you just need to be close. You don't need to deal with decimals that much. So you find certain spot checks, meaning learn what 10C is in Fahrenheit, learn what 15C is in Fahrenheit, however you're going to do your conversion. So I go from 10 to 13 to 16, and I know what the Fahrenheit is, and I just, after a while, you can basically see the conversion. And it may not be easy for everybody, but I've always been good with numbers, so it comes just second hand for me, second nature, I guess I should put that way. And worst case scenario, just convert it. But my wife mentioned nobody wants to be converting all the time. People have been asking me to run this in miles per hour. I use kilometers per hour because the metric system is used worldwide, and it's primarily in our sport. It's the metric system. So for the few countries like the U.S., Liberia, and another island out there that does the imperial unit of measure, I decided to go with the metric system, because when I used to read Velo News and all that stuff, everything came in kilometers when you were reading about the races and so forth. And that's when I started learning the conversion. Because all the races in Europe, when they talk about it, they're in kilometers. When Velo News prints an article. So that's how I got my introduction to using the metric system. Because believe it or not, I'm from Liberia, originally. And we use the imperial system of measure. Pound, foot, inch, all that kind of stuff. But I picked up the metric system easily, and it's more finite, and it just works. So what I do is I pick spot points for speed. For example, in your car, most of our cars have both kilometers an hour and miles per hour. So just pick the spot points where 32 kilometers an hour is about 20 miles an hour. Once you get those base points, going up, it's easy. So you get to know, right now we're doing 24 kilometers an hour. Well, that's probably 15, 16 miles an hour, maybe. That's why I don't pay attention to the speed. I'm in the same zone we used to pass that guy earlier, but not because the wind is blowing and this road is hilly. Your speed is going to change. It does not mean your engine's not doing the work. It's the same thing in your car. You can drive at, say, 100 kilometers an hour in one direction and burn more fuel based on the conditions than if the conditions were favorable. It's the same thing. So what you can see exactly what I just said. So now my heart rate has gone up just to get to 18 miles an hour or 29, 30 kilometers an hour. So to do 18 miles an hour into the wind, I'm working harder just to get that speed out. That's just the way it is. It's the same thing when you're climbing. You're going against gravity, you'll have to work harder to get the speeds. And then on a flat road, the change is incremental. I mean, you have to put out a higher percentage of effort to change your speed on a flat road with the drag from the wind than you do when you're climbing, where you have less drag when you're fighting gravity. So don't worry too much about it. Pay attention to your engine. How hard am I working? Is this where I want to be? Like if you were a car, is your engine overheating? If it is, you need to back off. That's why I tell people, don't worry about somebody getting dropped. You're not gauging yourself by that. Because what if that person's engine was overheating at that point and decided, you know what? I don't have enough coolant in the engine right now. I'm going to turn off the power and let these guys go. That does not necessarily mean that you who dropped them have improved tremendously. Your improvement is based on your last stats. So you're competing against you, not anyone else. So if you want to really gauge yourself, then set up a segment and do that, and then come back when the conditions are the same, do that segment again. But even that is variable because you may be feeling not so great that day, or the conditions will not be perfectly replicated. That's why the advent of power meters are so prevalent, because you have something that is consistent. A watt is a watt. I'm quoting one of our legends who recently put a comment on the channel and said a watt is a watt, and I smiled. So just keep that in mind and focus on. That's why when riders say they ride by feel, that's very important, because it doesn't matter what your power meter is saying. If you feel great, fine. Then you can get all excited and crazy. But if you're feeling crappy, I'll listen to that power meter because it's saying, oh, you're only doing 150. If at 150 watts you feel like, man, I don't feel so good, your body's telling you something. That overrules any meter or anything you might have. That's what matters. And that's the time you back off the power if you're riding solo, or you let the group go if you're riding solo and tell them, see you guys later. Another time. Don't ignore how you feel, because your body trumps everything. You know how you're supposed to feel, especially if you've been training for some time. You should know that, at this effort, I should, at this effort, I shouldn't feel lightheaded. And if you are feeling lightheaded, or it just feels like, man, this is so hard, that means that your body's telling you it's not in a condition to do that effort that day. I'm not talking about bailing out when it's time to work. What I'm saying is, it's almost like the analogy I would use is, if you're sick, that's not the time to go work out. You're below par. But if you feel like yourself, there's a difference in sticking with the work versus working hard, knowing that I feel crappy. It's one thing. It's a different kind of feel. You're like, if something's off, then don't push your body that day. But if you feel like yourself, even if it's hard, then fine, you can stick with it. That's what I mean. I'm not advocating that you should quit an effort because, it doesn't feel great. Stand up a little bit there to kind of change the way my muscles are working. So just to wrap up what I was saying, because I think it's important. Say, for example, you start to do an effort and you feel really crappy. I'm not saying stop riding. I'm saying drop the effort and see if the way you feel will change for the better. So Paul comes around here. I see him. He comes around to get a shot from the side. You don't get this kind of a shot that often. So that's what I told him later in the ride. I said, man, that was kind of cool. That's a good shot. Your legs should be flowing freely. Your feet should be free. Even though you're clipped in, there should be no tugging forces on your feet. Turn the music off here so you guys can get an appreciation, guys and girls, for this wind. Because right here we're starting to go more south than southeast. If you look at the stats above the cyclists up there, the metrics, you will see southeast will start moving left and south will start coming in. We are going directly into the wind. Speeds will drop. And if I tried to keep the speed the same, my effort, my heart rate will go up. It has to catch up, but I'm already working harder. It takes a few moments for the heart rate to really reflect what you've been doing, where you're going. This road's going up right here. Yeah, it says 1%, 2% right here. So all I make sure is I have the gear that I need. You see the 20 kilometers an hour. So that's why speed is not a good metric to train by. This is a clear demonstration of that because I'm going not very fast, but I'm working hard. I'm approaching sweet spot and I'm only doing 21 kilometers an hour. It's the same thing that happens when you go up a climb. So don't worry about speed. Speed is a side effect of effort. We're coming to the intersection with Highway 149 where Jackson Road becomes 149 when you continue south. So 149 is on the left where that red truck is coming from. And then 149 continues that way. Jackson Road ends right here at the stop sign. Debris, I'm pointing to Paul. So once that guy goes, I point and let Paul know it's our turn. We roll through. We're going to use the shoulder here. You can see those little white ripples in the pavement I was talking about. They're not as uncomfortable to go over, but you don't want to ride on them. You can skip over them for a bit because they're fairly substantial, although they're a little smoother than reflectors at the pavement. I think they've been adding them more and more on these rural roads. Maybe they've had people run off the road, I'm sure. This is a stretch where Paul comes in, and this part of 149 is very deceiving. It's not flat. It's up and down, and then we're into the wind, and we don't have as much shelter as we did on Jackson Road. After a few kilometers, I will ride up to Paul and tell him, I don't think you should pull too hard into the wind or too long. And I think I said too long into the wind. It will not hurt your back, just in case. Because you know how it is. Sometimes when you do a lot of climbing and you get home, you have that little aching in your back. It's the back muscles doing all that work. You counteract that with, first of all, not being overgeared when you're riding. And secondly, making sure your core is strengthened regularly. That should be part of your training program, what we call flexibility workouts. So this is a science. You don't just go out and just ride. Or I would not be in this condition after 8 weeks. Let's see, I think it's been about 8 weeks. So now, at this point in my training plan, I'm getting into what I call the preseason. Start mixing things up. This is where I told him, don't go too much into the wind because it'll hurt your back. You see me, watch me go over this thing. Yeah, I just scooted over, so I slipped between them. Because if you ride on the white stripe there, it'll be like, it's not a whole lot of fun. It doesn't hurt the bike because those things are covered, they're rubberized, and they're a little smoother than some others that are out there, but still, you don't want to ride them. Those of you who have done mountain biking, you know how to get over stuff like that. You just kind of scoot the bike over. The wind's pounding us, the road's going up here, so I stand because I don't want to change the gear I'm in, and it breaks up the rhythm, it allows my body to stretch and work differently. You should be able to do what you just saw me do. You should be able to do that. You should be able to practice that. but it starts out with the machine fitting your body. A lot of cyclists have trouble with fit because they neglect the significance of where their cleats are placed on the shoe. It's not just saddle height. You have to position your cleats properly so that when you're clipped in, it does not remove you from the optimal position on the saddle. So that's very significant. Hear that wind? This area is very exposed. There's not a whole lot of trees right there. You hear that thing blowing? It's blowing. And this is a grade. And I says 1%. It's between probably 0.7 to like 2% mostly. So we're climbing the entire time, heading towards Magnolia, Texas. As this area here is called, I think, Karen, and then this will take us to an area called Most Wind, where we stop at a store. So when riders say they ride by feel, that's what they mean. I'm not looking at heart rate on this ride. I'm just riding by, okay, I want to do 2 out of 5. As long as you're close, that's what matters. Because by riding like that, if I needed to go harder, I could. Because I didn't spend the whole ride on the ribbon. You can even watch my pedaling and see when the road lessens, because I'm not doing a whole lot of shifting. My cadence goes up when the grade lessens or the wind dies down, and then speeds go up. Correlation is clear. That's why when you're climbing, it's a different kind of effort, and usually you're not spinning excessively, and your speeds are lower, but you're putting out more force and more power. Because most of our riding is uneventful like this, where you guys are watching us ride, and it's the same thing with all of you, I'm sure. Most times you ride, there's no issues. You got hundreds of cars pass you with no problem. But then you always get this one person that may blow at you or act like a jerk. And since that's so infrequent, the reason I'm mentioning it here, do not ever let that ruin your ride. Because there is a phrase, misery loves company. Let that miserable person go on and deal with their own misery. Don't get drawn into it. They didn't hit you, whatever, let it go. Let it go. And just get your mind back to your riding. Don't let it ruin your ride. It's easy to remember those unfortunate incidents. Don't let that happen. Because we don't remember all the uneventful passes that occur, but that's what most of the time happens. Most drivers go on by their business, and most things in life occur like that. It's those one-offs we tend to keep in the forefront of our mind. So don't do that. We're getting closer to the store in outskirts of Magnolia, where we ended up stopping, and we got this what was it called, iced tea. We really like the flavor. I think it's mango flavor. It hits the spot when it's hot. I think it's an Exxon stop. It's a regular stop for most cyclists, and you will see there are 2 cyclists here.
And how you know it's very windy is you see two riders on a bike that you've never met before. I will let you guys listen to the banter here and see what the topic is.
What's up, guys? Hey. It's a little windy out there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's brutal. Oh, my goodness. 1488. I don't know if you're going that way.
1488, that's no tailwind. It's gonna be beating you from the side. There's no tailwind in this.
He had said that he was going to enjoy the tailwind on 1488. I told him there's no tailwind.
Hey, legends, we're wrapping us up.
That's what riders talk about, the wind.
I might be able to get both of us.
We're back in the woodlands here. We're on the Flint Ridge.
We'll see how that comes out.
I've got the camera, and because of follow mode, we can get shots like these. And I was like, man, we've been missing out.
You got your feet.
But that's what riders talk about: the wind, the hills, the temperature.
Giant
you know,
propel.
that's cool.
I'm getting you from the side because your profile, so people
But
can
you can see how
how
cycling
well
connects
fitted you
us.
are.
I mean, ordinarily you wouldn't just come across two guys standing at the store and start chatting with you. We don't know. But because we showed up on bikes and they were on bikes,
Yeah.
brothers in arms.
Our governor released some businesses to open, so that's why we got more people out. But I'm not going to see a movie or anything like that because you have to be careful being in close proximity to a lot of people still. So they're doing it cautiously, so they're doing the best they can. So we saw a lot of riders out today. Beautiful day to ride.
Yeah, I got a couple of masks I put in my cars, so if I have to go into a store or anything where it's crowded, I'll wear it.
So you should not be in any discomfort when you ride. If you are, something's off. Cleats, saddle, bars.
Because
Get some help, get
until
them
we
checked.
get a handle on the COVID-19 stuff, I want to make sure that we do our part in preventing the spread when we're out there. So if you're around a lot of people, protect yourself, protect others. We don't know much about this stuff at this point yet.
We have all these little jokes that
We're at Goslin and Flint Ridge. That's Goslin down the street. We're gonna take you guys to Tanglebrush. I told Paul I wanted to show Tanglebrush Drive when we're going back. It's a beautiful little road. I showed it the last time on a solo ride when I was coming north. And this way we're going back, so we're closing out the ride on Tanglebrush. I like it because it's partially covered by trees, like a canopy of trees, and it's just smooth and it's quiet. So we try to take the most scenic routes coming and going. There are quicker ways to get back to where we're headed, but we basically seek out these pretty routes. We go on Tanglebush part way, and then it takes us to a bike path. I had shown you guys from the other direction in an earlier video when I was riding solo. But it's very quiet. This is Tanglebush. It's all part of the woodlands. Curve is grade picks up a big, you see me stand, yeah, right there. As soon as I feel resistance and I figure it's short, I just stand to kind of get the impetus back into that gear. As soon as the gear feels like it's slowing down, and if the change is a short change, I'll stand versus downshift. Because my cluster in the back is not super tight. It goes single tooth from 12 to 16. And then from the 17 on, it's jumping by 2. It goes from 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 28, I believe. So yeah, I ran the credits here, but after the credits, I decided to just let the film roll like an epilogue. Decided to put a little bit of change, run these credits first, get them out of the way, and then have kind of like an epilogue. I used to do that a while back, and it was a nice touch. And so I decided to kind of bring that in when we have a lot of clips. So after the credits here, we show you Tangled Bush to the bike path. And we're rolling here. Look how beautiful this road is. Look at the canopy of the trees. They're almost touching each other up there. I tell Paul about it. I really like this. In the summer here, it's always cooler. Just a little bit. Look at the shade. We're just going through. It's beautiful. You got to keep your trees. Save the trees. They clean the air. They provide shade. You can quit cutting them down like we do. That's why they call this place the Woodlands. They go out of their way to preserve a lot of the trees when people develop the lots, even the commercial areas. They do their best. There's a couple walking over there, and as we turn, I make sure I don't startle them. So I just quietly let them know, ask them to let us by. And you hear Paul thank them. I said, let us squeeze by you. Hey guys. And we moved over. That's what we did on Saturday.